up, guys? Welcome back to the show. My guest today is Nick, also known as Nick Can't Mine on Twitter. And I came across Nick on Twitter and thought he was putting out some great shit. Loved his tweets, loved his commentary, and then somehow came across the information, or came to know that he was 19, 20 years old. And for whatever reason, this piqued my interest. I guess I'm always fascinated by how everybody comes to Bitcoin. But I guess I was fascinated because it seems, like that most people that I interact with in the Bitcoin space are older than that. I don't hear too many, really young people talking about Bitcoin. And so for that reason, and also, like I said before, for the kind of quality of the things that he was saying about Bitcoin and the depth of his understanding and his kind of attitude and willingness and desire to learn as much as possible, I thought it would be cool just to have him come on and have a chat. And it definitely did not disappoint. I just love this kid's attitude. Really the embodiment of stay humble and stack sats. And so in this discussion, we just talk about his story, how he came to Bitcoin, what his current approach is, what his peers think about Bitcoin and think about his involvement and interest in Bitcoin, his parents, and his approach to his future and his career now that he has kind of Bitcoin top of mind. So really, really enjoyed this chat. When I was listening to it back, I just, reaffirmed how enjoyable it was, and, how much I was actually able to learn from some of the stuff Nick said. So as is so often the case in this space, you can learn from everybody. And that was definitely the case in my conversation with Nick. So I hope you guys enjoy it as well. Oh yeah, forgot to mention that when Nick and I started our conversation, it started shit pouring down rain with thunder here in Thailand. So for the first 10 minutes of our conversation, my side of the audio has a bit of background noise. So I apologize for that, but it only lasts for about 10 minutes and then it's fine. See ya.
Let's do it.
Cool, man. Well, look, I appreciate you getting up on a Sunday morning and having a chat with me. Yeah, I've just, I've seen you on Twitter and kind of noticed the things that you say and the kind of situation that you're coming from. And I just thought it would be cool to get on and just have a chat about stuff. Nothing in particular, but just jam a little bit.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I love having chats like this.
Have you done many of these sort of things?
I've done 3 so far. I've done one with Saint Bitcoin, Coin Nicarus, and Optimus Fields.
Right. Cool. And so, I mean, why don't we just get started with, I know it's a bit cliche, but what's the origin story as far as Bitcoin is concerned?
So when I was in high school, I remember high school was, in particular, my senior year of high school, it was pretty stressful. Just because I really wanted to figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And, around that time, kids my age are choosing where to go to college and stuff. And that was a big step for me. And I wanted to really make the correct choice, like I'm sure everyone else does. And I remember, just keep that thought in the back of your mind for later. But one day I got home from school. I did my homework, and I had an hour or so before I had to go to soccer practice. And I'm on my computer playing Overwatch, and I have my iPad next to me, and I'm on Twitter. And my brother and his friends come downstairs, and they start talking about something called Bitcoin and Satoshi Nakamoto and all that stuff. And it just went... for me, it just went in one ear and right out the other. I didn't care for it. It did not interest me in the slightest, and I thought it was a scam. And a couple minutes later, I'm on Twitter, and I'm scrolling through, and I see 2 YouTubers that I liked at the time tweet about Bitcoin. And I was like, well, that's, what my brother and his friends are talking about. And I'm like, maybe there's something to this. So I started researching it more. I started going down the rabbit hole. At the time, I was into shitcoins. That's just a learning experience I had to go through. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then later in the year, towards the end of my senior year, when I had learned more about Bitcoin and stuff, and I really had to decide where I had to go to college, I was like, I don't really want to go away for college. I kind of want to just go to a local community college and get a job and stack sats. So that's what I did, and I'm really happy I made the right choice because I'm balling out right now, and I'm really happy with my decisions that I've made.
What do you mean balling out? What does that mean?
Stacking hella sats, living below my means. Like every paycheck, I try and devote like at least half my paycheck to just stats, to just stacking sats. And if I can, I would do more. And I'll constantly just I'll work extra hours. I'll work odd jobs and stuff, and I'll do whatever I can to get more fiat to put into Bitcoin.
Yeah. And do you mind sharing what you're studying at this community college?
Right now I'm doing general sciences, and then my plan right now is to study kinesiology after that,
Uh-huh.
which is like the study of the movement of the body. Because right now, well, like my I guess like the job I'm working towards is being a physical therapist. Like that's my job as well. I work at a physical therapy clinic as a technician. And yes, if I when I do get like a actual 9 to 5 job, I want to stay in like I either want to stay in the medical field or I just want to get a job that involves sports somehow cuz like I don't want a desk job where I sit all day crunching numbers. I want a job where I can be up and active and, walking around and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I feel you there, man. So, when this popped off, you were in your senior year. Like, did your friends or other people at school did they know what was up with Bitcoin? Like, were they talking about it? Like, was there any chatter at school?
Very little. I remember I had just gotten into Bitcoin, and I remember a few weeks later, because some kid had asked me about it, and I said, I was like, yeah, I'm into Bitcoin. And then I remember one day at lunch, a couple kids came up to me and they sat at my table with me and my friends and they were like, "Yo, dude, I heard you're into Bitcoin, blah blah blah. Um, are you rich? It's popping off, it's going well." And I was like, "No, I just got into this stuff, but they were interested in it, but they weren't interested in like actual Bitcoin. They were just interested in getting it to sell for more fiat to buy whatever materialistic stuff they wanted."
Right. And so that's it. Like that, you were kind of one of the lone like Bitcoiners at your last year of school.
Pretty much. I have a friend who went away to college. He is into Bitcoin and he checks the price of it. He's not like super into it, but he does mine it on it. He has a gaming computer and he mines a bit of it. But other than that, like he won't put any money into it. Like he won't get a job and work for it. Like I
Right.
think he's like too scared of the risk or something.
So for you, when did the shift happen between like seeing Bitcoin, thinking like I want to learn more, and then going down the shitcoin route, and then coming out of the shitcoin hole and getting like seeing the light with Bitcoin? What did that process look like for you?
So I always knew that Bitcoin was kind of, top dog, and the plan of altcoins were to trade it to get more Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I met Psychedelic Obardo on Twitter, and I remember because he was just slaying all these shitcoiners and just dropping facts left and right, and I DM'd him and I was like, hey, like, do you mind like me asking why are you a maximalist, and what are the benefits, what are the cons? And we had a little chat, and it really got me thinking, and I started talking to other maximalists around on Twitter, and it just seemed like the right thing to do. And then once I dropped all my shit coins and I really started researching Bitcoin only, I feel like that's when my actual like quote unquote Bitcoin career started,
Mm-hmm.
and like my actual education started. because when I was a shitcoiner, all I cared about was price
Yeah.
and getting more fiat. Like with Bitcoin, I care about, security, privacy, the actual usage of it, the future of Bitcoin. Like, I don't care too much about the price now. And if anything, I want the price to go lower
Right,
so I
so you
can
can
stack
stack
more.
more. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I was a shitcoiner, I wanted the price of like Litecoin and Ethereum to moon so I can just sell it and get more fiat to buy, whatever I wanted.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people got caught up in the greed of the shit coinery, right? Like just like, oh, you can 10, 100x your shit in like a month, and then wow, you could do so much cool stuff with that money. Whereas like, the maximalists in the Bitcoin field are just like, like you said, probably hoping that the price stagnates for as long as possible so that everyone can, just stack more.
Yeah, and also there's so much like shitty, scammy behavior that goes on in crypto Twitter,
Oh
not
man,
Bitcoin Twitter, but crypto Twitter. Like whenever I see accounts from crypto Twitter, like the stupid shit they say
I know.
and like they they spread so much false information, and I truly believe that some of the people like aren't trying to scam people. I just think they're stupid enough and believe,
Definitely.
whatever they're pushing. But Bitcoin Twitter, you go there and it's like the smartest people in the space. Like I feel dumb as hell in Bitcoin Twitter,
Me
but like
too.
I
Me
love it.
too.
You got to surround yourself with people who are better than you, and that'll, help better yourself.
100%, man. I've been in Bitcoin since, 2000. I've been interested in it for a long time, but 2014 was when I first kind of really dove in, or 2014, sorry. I don't know what I said there. But yeah, like Twitter just wasn't a thing for me, right? Like I used it as a newspaper, but I certainly wasn't like, I didn't realize that it was kind of fragmented into different communities. Just if you could curate it so that you'd wind up in a certain community. And I just like, I was never really into it. And then it was only this year, I think, just maybe by accident, because I just like, I've always been fascinated with Bitcoin, and I slowly started following so many that like Bitcoin Twitter started to coalesce as like an entity, right? That you could tell like you were in it. And once I started like getting in it and then meeting those people and speaking to some of them and following them, I was just like, oh man, these are my people. Like I can't believe I didn't I can't believe I wasn't aware that this has been around for so long. Like these are the people, like you said, that I want to basically be like, I want them to inspire me to learn more and that kind of thing, because they do make, a lot of time they do make me feel stupid, or that I don't like, there's things that I haven't investigated yet or learned or engaged in, and it's just such a, and I love the toxicity basically, because like you said with crypto Twitter, I mean, there's so many people in there, and yes, like most of them are probably well-meaning, but there's just so much fucking malarkey and bullshit that people get on with, and like no, people aren't really called out. Whereas in Bitcoin Twitter, it's like if you say the wrong thing, you're gonna get jumped on, and it's actually ultimately good for you and the space, as much as it might seem a little off-putting to an outside observer at the beginning.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, I remember when I was having my chat with Obardo, he was telling me, he was like, dude, if you ever get the chance to go to like an actual Bitcoin event, you gotta go, because the people you meet there, like, you'll be so happy you're a maximalist because you're just surrounded by so many intelligent and smart people, and it's amazing. And I really want to go to like a proper actual Bitcoin, event.
Yeah.
So that's on my list to do. Um, and then yeah, like I love the toxicity of Bitcoin Twitter. It just sucks when I see people get banned because they're doing like good shit.
Right.
And like th- I love it seeing when people, especially like people who are quote unquote like Bitcoin famous, like dive into any shitcoinery or do something that, maximalists don't like, and they just jump on them like a bunch of like hyenas or some shit. It's so funny.
Nobody's immune, man. Like it doesn't matter what you did in the past. Like if you slip up, then you're gonna get it, and that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
But man, tell me, because a few moments ago, you're talking about how, you're in your senior year, you were kind of thinking about what you wanted to do with your life in terms of career and stuff. And this is something that I've definitely talked about a lot with guests on the podcast. And basically, the shtick usually goes like, yeah, when we were in our early 20s, we looked out on the world. It looked super fucked, and there was a kind of hopelessness that pervaded. It's like, yes, you can carve out your own little thing, spend time with people you like, do work that, you enjoy or that you can tolerate, but still, like, there's these big kind of clouds looming over your view of what the world is and what it can be. And for, in these conversations, Bitcoin has been that thing that essentially parted the clouds and kind of provided this sort of light of hope for people to think that the world could be better and it could change for the better, and there is a way to kind of turn around some of the more dark shit. And as a result, just the passion and the drive and the energy and the motivation to learn more about it and get involved and all that kind of stuff. But I'm like, is that what it was like for you after you started going down the rabbit hole, or were you even looking out on the world like that? Like, how did it change your worldview or your perspective, if at all?
One of the things that has always like been in my mind is that like to be successful in life, you just need love, family, friends, and money. So, growing up as a kid, I heard constantly like, oh, our financial system's so fucked up. Like, it could be so much better. There's so many things wrong with it. And whenever someone would tell me that, I would ask them, okay, like, well, how do we fix it? Like, what do we got to do? And they're like, oh, you can't. Like, that's just the way things are.
Right.
So when I found Bitcoin and I found out that it actually wasn't a Ponzi scam or a scheme, and I really started to learn why it was created, I was like, this is like $1 trillion idea. It fixes I mean, maybe not everything, but it fixes a lot of things that are wrong with the current financial system. Like, and it amazes me. Like, I've told some of these people that, talk badly about the current financial system, about Bitcoin, and they just won't touch it, even though that it's like the purest thing ever made and it could benefit them greatly. And then, so getting into Bitcoin, not only am I rewarded with a better financial system, but since we're in pretty early, Bitcoin's what, $8,000 right now. The upside potential is amazing, and you can definitely create a lot of gains. So it's kind of like I can create financial freedom, and that solves, one of the things in life that I need is money, and then the rest is love, family, and friends. So it really like I like focusing on one thing at a time and just getting that shit done. So when I found Bitcoin, it was kind of like, all right, like this is it. Like this is what I need to focus on my time on right now. Like I'm 19, 20. Well, I was 19. I'm 20 years old now. But I was like, this is a once in a lifetime chance, and I have to take it and make it my top priority. And it has made my outlook on life a lot better, because it allows me to like sleep easy at night, if that makes sense. Like
Totally.
knowing that I'm doing good for myself. Like I don't like comparing myself to other people just because everyone runs their own race in life. But when I see some of my friends who like went off to college, they're getting deep shit in student debt. Some of my friends bought cars and they have auto loans they gotta pay off. Some of them got credit cards. Like they're in some pretty deep shit. And then I look at me like I'm in no debt with a bunch of Bitcoin. So it's like I'm chilling, staying winning in life.
I love that shit, man. I love it. And I'm like, even though, I mean, as you said, we're early, right? So anybody who's in now, it's like there's going to be rewards to be reaped for sure. But I'm envious too, man. Like being 20 years old and like knowing that, like knowing, being aware of, and I always preface this by saying, yes, we could be wrong and it might not work, but let's presume that it does, right? And we are right. That being 20 years old and having that in your back pocket, like not just literally as in the coins, but like knowing that you got this thing behind you that if you just like put your work in learn about it, engage it, and use it for what you can. And for you, like one of those four pillars of what a good life means to you, man, it's such a powerful thing for your mentality. Like you said, being able to sleep at night, waking up in the morning with a smile on your face, some bounce in your step, just knowing that like there's a purpose to all this. You don't just have to go to some fucking dead end job and what's the purpose? So I have enough money to travel or blow it off on the weekend or buy some shit. I feel like it focuses all of our energy and attention and work toward something that not only benefits us but obviously contributes to the entity itself.
Yeah, like one of the things I was so scared of um in high school was I was like, man, like I really got to get this shit right cuz I don't want to end up working some dead end 9 to 5 job, for a company I don't really care about, for a boss I probably hate. My parents didn't go to college. My mom went to like a trade school, and my dad went straight into the fire department. And my parents did very well financially. They didn't make the most money per year, but they were really smart with their money, and they're not fully retired yet, but they're about to be retired, and they're both in their early 50s. So I think like that's really good, and that's inspired me to also do well in life, financially. And I don't want to, I don't want to wait till I'm 50 to have the nice things they have, and the nice life they have. I want it a lot earlier, and I want to be more, successful than they are. My dad wakes up every day at his lake house and goes out for a kayak ride, and goes to work and comes back and just chills, looking at a nice lake with a nice view, and it just inspires me, man.
Yeah, I bet. Have you talked to them about Bitcoin?
I have, and I actually got my mom to buy some.
What about your dad?
Uh, no, my dad just tells me like, oh, you stick to Bitcoin, I'll stick to stocks. The U.S. dollar is always gonna be king. Blah blah blah. Like he doesn't really understand it.
Man, it's such a funny thing. Like, I mean, we all come up against this, and we have, I'm sure we've met some people that, like, they want to learn more, and other people are just so closed off to it. And I mean, obviously we're biased, but once you, like, see the light, as it were, and you're, like, fully, fully on board, it's so hard to relate to people that have such an opposing or opposite view. You know what I mean? Like, and I try because, like, I talk to these people, and I want to have these conversations, and I want more people to be involved with it and stuff, even though, there's an argument to be made that maybe we should just be zen about it all. But I find myself still having those conversations, but it is challenging for me to relate to people that like can't even see an inch of it, right? You don't have to be a full on, like, crazy hyperbole maximalist right off the bat, but just not to like be at least curious about some aspects of it and what it might mean and how it might help the existing problems. It's tough for me to relate.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially with people my age. Like everyone my age is partying, drinking, doing drugs every weekend, and I'm just like trying to stack sats and, get ahead in life. But I guess we'll see where I am compared to them in a couple years. So yeah.
Yeah, man, it's about the long game, and revenge will be sweet. When not that you wish poor circumstances on your friends, but
Oh, not at all.
you keep it disciplined and doing that thing now, and again, if we're right, then you got to imagine you're gonna be in a situation that makes you happy, and that the one that's totally in your control in the future, and that's awesome.
Yeah, and I've tweeted this before. Like I do want more like of my friends in real life to be into Bitcoin, because I always want to fucking talk about it to them instead of like whatever dumb shit they want to talk about sometimes. They're like, I want to help better them. Like I hate seeing some of my friends, do really poor financial decisions when they could, put that money into Bitcoin.
And what's the resistance? Like, why isn't there more uptake? Like, if you're trying to talk to them about it, are they just like, nah, man, I don't give a shit about that. Like, what's the comeback?
Like I just keep trying to tell them, like, dude, it's not a Ponzi scheme. It's not a scam. Like, blah blah blah, and they're like, oh yeah, I believe it is the future of money, but like, I'm just not ready to get into it, or whatever. Like, it's really half-ass poor excuses,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's sad to see.
I was having a conversation with escape who it was escapes me, but it was recent. Anyways, the it was basically we were talking about because this question always comes up, like how do you broach the subject of, like, I was chilling with a friend today, right? And most of the time I don't even bring it up because, like, once I tell them that I'm involved in some capacity, there's a big smile and they're, ask you questions like, oh, so you're a millionaire, or, that's bullshit, or it's never going to work. Like, there's always some cliche comeback. And I'm just at the point now where, like, I don't want to ruin the day by getting into like an hour long discussion when I know it's probably going to meet a brick wall. But having said that, like, what I was talking about on the podcast with someone is like, I think it was Brandon Quidham who originally like made the suggestion, like, we don't just need like books about Bitcoin, as great as they are, that are coming out onto the space now, but like we need books for and about Bitcoin for every like demo, or not even demo, but like interest category. Like, I think someone I spoke to recently said, like, we need a, like, what is Bitcoin for vegans? We need like a what is Bitcoin for fucking CrossFit people. We need a what is Bitcoin for, fill in the blank. And it's actually one of the reasons why I want to talk to you, because, it's a fairly unique thing, especially on Bitcoin Twitter, to like have this 20-year-old kid who's, super into Bitcoin and, engages with the community. And like, we need someone to talk to the people that are your age, right? Like high school or early college kids or whatever. And because obviously you're most well equipped to determine what the message should be composed of to break through to people that are like, that are in your peer group. And so, yeah, I mean, that's why I ask you the question, like what kind of things you've done to try to get them on board. Because and this, we self-select, so this doesn't really, this is kind of an irrelevant statement, but like, I think it's super exciting, like for a 20-year-old to be so deep into this and like to have the mentality, stacking sats, working hard, learning as much as they can, engaging with it, playing around with it. Like, if I had a friend that way, I would just be like pulling on your arm all day long to get you to tell me more. And we'd be down in the basement, or working together or something while our friends were out partying. But that's why I wanted to get some insight into like what are people in your age group thinking about this thing, and what are some of the reasons why they're not interested.
Yeah, I just finished my freshman year of college last spring, and last spring I took a public speaking class where I had to give speeches, and I did a speech on the hyperinflation in Venezuela, and I kind of like got people interested in, money, and then I kind of hit them over the head with the Bitcoin speech for my next speech. And what I did was I compared Bitcoin and the US dollar, and my argument was why Bitcoin's better. And I gave them, all the facts of, quantitative easing. I said, Bitcoin's scarce because, you got to mine it. Like, it takes time, energy, electricity, computing to make a Bitcoin. Whereas, the US dollar, you can just print it, out of thin air. I gave him like I had charts pulled up. I had all this stuff prepared. I felt like I did a really good job, and I looked at the faces on some of the people, and I could tell some people could get it, but some people were just super confused because they couldn't understand, or like not they couldn't understand, but they didn't know some of the simple stuff in economics. Like, I'm so surprised at how many people don't know what a fiat currency is. I remember also in English, I took an English class last spring and over the summer, and I wrote essays about Bitcoin in both of them, and I would run it by my professor just to like make sure everything looks good, and she'd be reading it, and both of my teachers looked at me and were like, Nick, we don't know what a fiat currency is. Like, you have to explain more of what that is. And I just kind of looked
Holy
at her with my
shit.
head tilted, like, you're a college professor and you don't know what a fiat currency is. Like, that's kind of embarrassing, you
That's
know?
wild, man. That is wild.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm not super surprised. Like I'm shocked, but also not at the same time because it shows the level of financial and monetary ignorance, basically. And it's largely because it's just you question your own finances, maybe. And if you're really into investing, you read your Buffett books and whatever to try to understand how the stock market works and all that stuff. But, unless you came across the Austrian guys or a couple other, books of history or whatever on money, I mean, the education is never on that level. It's never foundational about money. It's always something like if you learn economics in university, it's like no, they don't start with money as chapter one. It's supply and demand and this and that, and there's various currencies, and this is how it works, and there's currency markets. But like nobody ever asks the question of nobody ever asked the most fundamental question, which is what is the money? It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
And one thing for me getting into Bitcoin, I was just kind of like, you can do anything in the world that you want to do, and but whatever you want to do, you're gonna have to work really hard at it. So it's kind of like when I say all these terms that are in Bitcoin that a lot of people don't understand, a lot of like normal people don't understand. It's kind of like it kind of makes me proud sometimes because I'm like, okay, I have been learning like a lot in this space that most people don't do.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you there. Did you record these speeches that you gave in the public speaking class, like a video?
We had to because we had to watch them and like go over them, and we had to like write a paper about it and like what we did right, what we did wrong, and all that stuff. But I deleted the videos.
What? Why?
Yeah. I never thought I would have to use them again. I don't know.
Oh man, you gotta put that shit up next time you do one. Who gives a fuck? Put it on a YouTube channel or something. But that'll be, somebody's gonna want to see that. And somebody's gonna benefit from it. That's my approach to media and content stuff too. Like, because you always cringe at your own shit, right? Like you see it and you see all the flaws in you, and we all see more flaws in ourselves than other people see in us. But I'm just like, man, put it up. You never know that serendipitous like moment where like maybe you got like 10 subscribers on YouTube, but some fucking 17-year-old kid just happens upon your speech somehow, like through some YouTube rabbit hole that he's been on, and he comes across your speech, and just like we all, most of us came like early days, like a lot of us came across Andreas, right? Andreas
Yeah.
Antonopoulos, his speeches, and who knows? It could set could spark the fire of some person in some other part of the world just hearing someone who's similar to them, similar age, similar whatever, articulating this interest and be like, huh, I wonder what the fuck that's all about. And then they start on their own rabbit hole journey and stuff. So don't delete that shit next time, man. You gotta put that up.
All right. I'm sure. I'm sure I'll do more in the future. Like when I go off to before university. I would like to take another public speaking class because I really enjoyed it. I had a really good time, and also when I look at like other people my age, I think there's two kids that I'm following. One's called Bitcoin Sam. He's 19, and there's another 18 or 19-year-old that follows me. He just followed me recently, but I don't remember his name. But us three have clicked pretty well because of our age, and he's like, oh shit, like another kid my age is here. I thought I was the only one. And one thing I really don't want to be, and I don't want to turn into, is someone like Eric Finman.
No.
He's that kid. He's around my age, maybe like a year younger. He's like probably my age, and he constantly he's just a clout chaser. He's that kid who boasts about himself because he's quote unquote the youngest Bitcoin millionaire. Um, he's made all these like cringy videos of like people going and interviewing him, and he's like, oh, like I didn't want to go to college, so my parents said I became a millionaire by the time I'm older. I wouldn't have to go to college, and like his grandma gave him some money to put into Bitcoin, and I think he kind of forgot about it. And then in the 2017 run up, he got back into it. Um, but yeah, the kid, the kid's a fucking idiot. Like he's a massive shitcoiner now. Like he sold off some of his Bitcoin for like this coin called Metal or something. And if you look at the charts, it's like it's terrible. It starts high and it just drops down, and I hope it never recovers.
Yeah, well, it certainly looks that way for pretty much everything other than Bitcoin, at least at the moment. We'll see.
Hmm.
We'll see how things turn out. But I just feel like I feel like the luster and excitement is gone out of the shitcoin market. Like there was a brief moment there where people thought it would turn into like this kind of parallel stock market sort of thing, where like there's all these different coins trading. But then the bubble burst and people came to realize like, well, none of these, you know, you got to be money. That's what the proposition is here. That's what we're dealing with here. And if one is going to take the vast majority of the value as money, then what the hell are all these other ones deriving value from? You know?
I just don't see the point in having like what is it like close to 3,000 different cryptocurrencies right
Of
now.
course.
It's like there's no reason for them, and even some of like the ones in the top 10, there's no reason for them.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Like um like one of the big things for me is like when you go on the news, all you see is them talking Bitcoin. Never see them talking about like Litecoin or Ethereum or Bitcoin Cash. It's always just BTC all
Hmm.
day.
Yeah.
And like they're not going talking about like Electronium or Digibyte or I'll never walk into a store and pay for something and some random shit coin that's like rank 124 on coin market cap. Like it's just not happening.
Right. Yeah, well, I think that's part of the old stay humble, stack sats, and I mean, there's obviously many different areas that can be applied to, but one of it is definitely like I feel like a lot of people get sucked into the shitcoins because they're like, oh, I can find the next one. Like I'm smart enough to figure out like which one is gonna have the combination of the tech and the team and then this and that, and like I can find it, and that's how I'm gonna get rich. And it's like, no, focus on Bitcoin, learn as much as you can, stack up your sats at every opportunity you get, and just chill. Right, like the time will come. But so many
Hmm.
so many people want to go a different route, I guess.
I just see so many people who buy shit coins like get double wrecked, if that makes sense. Because like some people will try and escape inflation by putting their money in a shit coin, and their money devalues not only from like if they were to keep it in fiat, it's obviously devaluing.
Right.
But if they keep it in a shit coin, it's going down like what 2 to 3% per day from Bitcoin, and it's like the only true way to escape inflation is Bitcoin. Like literally no other coin can help you.
Yeah. But just to go back like a few minutes ago, you were saying when you start like putting more, if you do more of these talks and if you start putting stuff online, you were saying you don't want to become whatever that dude's name was that is kind of a douche and talking about Bitcoin and shitcoins and stuff. But like, is that really a concern? Like, I don't get the vibe that like you're gonna automate, you're gonna for some reason turn into that kind of a character.
Oh, I know I'm not, but I'm just trying to say like I hope people don't be like, oh well, this kid's just gonna turn out like Eric Finman did. Like I'm not. Like I remember he posted something and I wasn't even being that toxic, and I called him out on it, and he had just immediately blocked me. And
Yeah.
yeah, he's just someone. As long as I be the opposite of him, I know I'll be successful and well respected in the Bitcoin community.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, and no matter what you do, there's always going to be haters. That's just a given. But I think as long as you stay true to yourself, you'll probably be all right.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've met a lot of cool people in the Bitcoin space that constantly have my back, and I can't be thankful enough for all of them.
Yeah, That's got to be so damn cool, man. So fucking cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
So what's most I mean, I know like you're doing your job and you're stacking regularly and stuff, but what's most intriguing or compelling or interesting to you about the space at this moment in time? Like, what are you most kind of excited about or engaged in intellectually?
Two things. The scarcity of Bitcoin and also the Lightning Network. Uh, Going into the Lightning Network, you know, one of the big arguments from a shitcoiner's point of view is that, Bitcoin's too expensive, it's too slow, it'll never scale, blah, blah, blah. Well, the Lightning Network fixes all of that, or it seems to at least. It can do what, like 1 million transactions a second. It's super cheap. It's day by day. It's getting easier and easier to use and set up. Like, I have my own Lightning node, and through Casa and through my phone, I can send Lightning payments almost anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's fucking awesome. So, I mean, like, I remember when Lightning Network first came out, it was kind of like a distant dream for me to be able to use it because it just seems so complicated, so hard to set up and all that. But now it's like it it's it's super easy,
Yeah,
and I don't see why more people can't do it.
yeah. I mean, especially on some of the mobile wallets that have recently come out, like unless you knew, like you may not even know you're interacting with it, right? It's just it's that kind of seamless.
Yeah, and then also the scarcity part of it, that comes into us being so early into Bitcoin. You always hear like, oh, there's not enough for every millionaire in the United States to own one, blah blah blah. Get 2.1 Bitcoin, get 6.15. Uh, it just seems like super easy to accumulate right now.
Yeah,
You get like what, like 100,000 sats for $10. Like, that's a steal in my opinion. And you always see those people who say like, oh, and like, early, like, I don't I don't know the exact dates, but like, let's just say like 2014, the goal was to accumulate like multiple Bitcoin. 2016, it was like, get a Bitcoin. Now it's like, get like, you know what I mean? Like, get
totally.
a fraction of a Bitcoin. And then as time goes on, it's going to get harder and harder to accumulate. So it's like the perfect time to start accumulating is now.
Yeah, exactly. No matter when you come in, like that's always the best approach. And we're I think we're soon be entering the era where like being a whole coin. I mean, we're almost there now. I mean, let's say 8 grand. If someone was really committed, maybe they could find that kind of cash. But once we get up into the tens of thousands per coin and even like 100 plus K, I mean, being a whole coiner is just going to be totally off limits for a huge swath of the population.
Hmm.
And it still won't be too late then. Like I think obviously what you were just saying, it's still worthwhile and valuable to accumulate what you can. But just to your point about like in 14, in 14 it was to get a bunch, and then by 16 it was like just make sure you get a couple, and the next couple of years it's like make sure you at least have like a tenth, a point one or
Hmm.
something.
Yeah, and I remember reading like, this was a while ago, so I don't know if like numbers have changed or whatever, but it was like, if you have 0.28 Bitcoin, you're in the 1% of people who will ever own that amount of Bitcoin. And I just thought like, that's super cool because that's not even that much money right now.
Yeah.
That's like a couple thousand.
I interviewed Ray Gomez, who works at OpenNode. He's the lead software engineer there, and he built when he was just messing around with the Lightning Network at the beginning. He just wanted to understand it better, so he developed Lightning Spin. Have you ever played that?
I have not.
Right. So basically, you just you set your bet. So let's say like, uh, well, so the default was 10,000 Sats, right? And then you press this button, and it spins around a circle. Or sorry, you place your bet amount, and then you can pick like 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, and it's like if you hit the color that you chose, you get the whatever x you chose. So it's
Hmm.
basically betting. And I spun it around, and I lost, right? And so the 10,000 sats were gone. And and then I realized afterwards that even though that was like the default bet amount, the minimum was only 1,000. And I remember I was just at my computer like, no. And then, yeah, it has the US dollar value there too. And it was like 82 cents, right? Is what I lost.
Mhm.
But like, there's such a stronger, like visceral desire to hang on to it, even though like fiat denomination is like it's nothing. Right? It's a buck. Like I'll spend, that's nothing. But when
Yeah.
when it's denominated in sats and you lose it, you're like a tear just falls down my face.
Yeah, I also think that's one thing that like pre-coiners got to understand because people will look at Bitcoin and say, well, oh, how much money is it? And you'll say like 100K sats. That sounds like a lot because it is a lot. That's 100,000 Satoshis, but
Yeah.
it's only like what, $10?
Right.
So again, that goes back to the point we were making. The earlier you get in, the better. It doesn't really matter too much when you got in, though.
Yeah, and that's the thing that everybody who gets in has to grapple with because you're always going to feel like you were late. Like I heard Trace Mayer talk about him feeling like he was late, like buying it at $2 or whatever. Can you imagine? Like, and I know Peter Schiff, the notorious Peter Schiff. I think in his chat with Pomp, he said also like I missed the boat, so it's too late now. It's just like that's just such the wrong mentality. And of course, we could easily be attacked for saying that and be like, oh, you just want to protect your investment, you want everybody to get in and blah blah blah. But that's not the case. And I just really think like whenever anyone that gets in, they look back in the history and they think, oh my God, it went from minus a buck to 8,000. Like, of course, I must have missed it. But I think we're probably on the same page in thinking that there's a lot of runway left for this thing.
Yeah, I read a quote from someone on Twitter, and it was like, don't get like it was either someone on Twitter or it might have been Trace Mayer. I'm not sure. But whoever they said, oh, I can't speak English. Whoever said it, they said it doesn't matter when you get in. Like, don't get mad at yourself for missing past gains. Just make sure you don't miss out on the future gains.
Yeah.
And that really kind of struck me. Like, I'm not going to get mad at myself for not getting in, January 4th, 2009, one day after Bitcoin was released. I got in when I got in, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to stack as many sats as I can so I'm well equipped for the future.
Yeah, well, that's exactly why the stacking sats meme is so good, right? Because even, let's say you get in and then you're like, oh, fuck, I missed the boat. And if you don't have that approach, I mean, I fell victim to it. I'm sure many others did as well. You get into the timing, the market mentality. It's like, okay, well, I'll just wait for it to have a pullback now. Then I'll get in, right? And I'll at least somewhat mitigate, that feeling that I fucked up. It's not rational, right? Because if it goes from 8 to 4 and you get in, sure, you got it, you got it at a 50% discount, but it doesn't really make much of a difference between 1 and 4,000, right? But
Yeah.
but that's why I think the meme is so great because it just takes the thought and the emotion and the guessing and the waiting out of it. Do you believe in this thing? Yes. All right. This is what you do. You squirrel away a certain amount of your savings every week. Put it in. Don't think about the price. Pretty easy, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah. I've never really tried to time the market because I know I've always kind of thought I'm a fucking idiot when it comes to this. So I'm not even gonna try and time the market. I'm just gonna buy whenever I can.
good for
And
you, man.
just dollar cost average in. And yeah, there's sometimes it's annoying. Like I'll get paid on a Friday and I'll buy, all I can, and then the next day the price drops and I'm like, fuck, if I would have just waited, that one extra day.
If I had only
But
known the price was gonna drop.
yeah. But then a week later it'll go back up and I really don't care anymore. So I just buy whenever I can, and that works well for me, and I'm going to continue doing that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. I'm going to hit you with some rapid fire questions now. You good to go? So I don't know if you heard this before, but it's just a bunch of questions one after the other, and then we'll finish off with some word associations.
So Do I answer them quick or?
You can, however long you like. Totally up to you.
Oh, okay, okay.
All right. So the first one is what is money?
Money is something that's hard, it's valuable, and it's scarce.
If you had to explain Bitcoin to your grandmother or somebody over 80, what would you say?
It's like the next evolution of debit cards. Um, or it's kind of like it's the future of money. It's something that fixes all the problems that's wrong with the current financial system.
What's the primary reason why Bitcoin is important or interesting to you?
I get to control my own life with it.
What does the quote unquote sovereign individual mean to you?
It it means oh,
You can
it
say,
means I'm just a go ahead.
I was just going to say, you can say pass to any of these if you just don't feel like you want to answer them.
I'm just gonna say I'll pass on that one. I have so much going on in my head right now.
Okay. How long after you first heard of Bitcoin did you start learning more about it and then purchase it, if you're comfortable saying?
Like 10 minutes. Like literally my brother told me about it and then I saw it on Twitter and then he helped me download a Coinbase and I bought like $50 worth of Bitcoin.
Amazing. What movie or song is most related to Bitcoin in your opinion?
Oh, that's a good question. Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
That's a great answer. Is there a favorite movie clip or rant, like a rant from a movie of all time, related to Bitcoin or not?
Um, I feel like I could come up with a much better answer if I had a lot of time to think about it, but probably the one from The Wolf of Wall Street when he's like, "Oh, I'm not fucking leaving," and everyone gets hype as shit.
Can Bitcoin be stopped? If so, what is Bitcoin's biggest vulnerability? If not, why not?
I feel like Bitcoin can't really be stopped. I remember Psychedelic Bardo talking about he works on Wall Street or something like that, and like there's a way that they can like hinder it. I I don't I don't want to quote him on that, but because I didn't really ask him too much about it, but I want to go off what American Huddle, Matt Odell, and Marty Bent were talking about in their podcast that they just released the other day. Um, if something were to like stop Bitcoin or like be bad for it, it's probably like our future children. Like we work hard to stack sats, and in the future, like our grandchildren and great grandchildren, they're just gonna be like doing stupid shit with it because they don't, understand it and value it like we do right now.
Right. They just become complacent and it kind of gets away from them somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think will be Bitcoin's biggest impact on society?
Bringing third world countries up and out of poverty, giving them property rights.
When, if ever, do you think the first central bank will start adding Bitcoin to their reserves, and will they exist in 20 years?
Uh, when? That's a really tough question. Will they ever? Yeah, I do think banks will be around in 20 years, but I just think they're going to be less relevant. Like, I hope I don't have to have a bank account in 20 years.
For sure. What was the biggest mistake you made with Bitcoin? You've made with Bitcoin?
Selling any. Selling any and buying shit coins.
Yeah. How do you feel about Satoshi Nakamoto, Bitcoin's creator, being anonymous and the coins that he likely controls?
I think it's great that he's anonymous. Obviously, like, just the other day, a lot of companies were leaving Libra because that's obviously super centralized and they can just, send Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook a letter or go there in person and shut it down. Him being anonymous is extremely important. I don't think, and who I think Hal Finney was one of the people behind Satoshi Nakamoto and he's dead. I honestly don't think we'll ever. I don't think Satoshi will ever move his coins from the research I've done, and I really hope he doesn't because I think it'd be really bad for Bitcoin. And it's also nice, having that a million plus coins taken out of the market and just making everyone's coins that much more scarcer. But I love Satoshi, man.
Don't we all? What have you learned about yourself, or how have you changed, if at all, as a result of learning about and interacting with Bitcoin?
I used to buy a bunch of stupid shit. Um, I oh fuck, I just dropped my water bottle. um, I used to buy a bunch of stupid stuff. I didn't really have my priorities straight. Like I got into Bitcoin my senior year, but before that, all I did was like I played travel soccer growing up, and that was a big part of my life. And all I did was like hang out with people, play soccer, play video games. Like I didn't really have like a direction in life. I felt kind of lost. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do, why I wanted to do something. And it changed me better as a person because it got me started to save money. It got me like working towards goals in life. I have like a much better outlook on life. I've I can like visually see myself in the future doing things that I've always wanted to do, but maybe I wouldn't have the time or money to do it. It's made me be a better person. It Bitcoin taught me to love learning. Like in school, I always studied and did my homework and stuff just because that's what, you were told to do. I never did it because I was actually interested in the work. But Bitcoin, like, I'll gladly sit down for hours and just fill my head with knowledge. And I love it. It's completely changed me as a person. Like, when I got into Bitcoin, 2+ years ago, like, I'm a completely different person today.
That is so fucking awesome to hear, man. But I love that shit. Um, what is your most controversial or contrarian view or opinion, if not on Bitcoin? Any subject is okay.
Um, mm, I guess I think Bitcoin's gonna take a lot longer to succeed and like adoption to happen. Um, I always look at like Plan B's models on Twitter saying that like we're gonna be at like 100K in the next like couple years, and like while I don't doubt that, because like his math has like been right, like I think 95% of the time or something. It's just like I don't know, just normal people. If normal people don't even know what a fiat currency is, I just feel like it's gonna take a long time for them to either get educated on it, or we're gonna have to have like an economic disaster and that forces people into Bitcoin. Like I feel like a lot of people aren't gonna get into Bitcoin because they want to. They're gonna get in because they have to.
Right. And on that note, ballpark estimate of Bitcoin's price in 5 years.
Oh fuck. 5 years. Shit. I want to say in between 250K and 500K. I have no idea. I don't want to like say something that's like completely just stupid because like again, ever since I became a maximalist, I haven't been focusing too much on the price. I've just been focusing more on getting sats. But it's that's a tough question because we have the having next year in less than a year, and then we're gonna 5 years.
Two
That's
halvings. Yeah.
yeah, two having. So it's probably gonna be based on the if you were to look at Plan B's stock to flow ratios, it's probably more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have no idea. So I'm just gonna ballpark and say like 500K.
Fair enough. Do you have a morning routine? If so, what is it?
I do not. I have classes super early in the morning, and because I have to have time to do homework and stuff before I go to work at night. So I sleep in till like the last possible second. Like even today, um our interview started at around 9. I got out of bed at like 8:50, and yeah, like I'm not a morning person, dude. I stay in bed to the last possible second.
That's so funny you say that, man. Because like I mentioned, I was out. Some friends were in town, hired a boat. We were out on the water all day, and we came in, like dropped off everything, and then we went to dinner. And when I messaged you that message, like, "Are you good to go in 25?" I was literally lying. It was like one of those. I'm in Thailand, right? So it's one of the. You're sitting on a little cushion on the floor, sort of thing. And I was like
Yeah.
lying on my back with my head on the cushion, feet up against the rail, looking out over the ocean. And I sent you that, so I got back just in the nick of time too.
Yeah.
How do you define success?
Whatever, as long as, kind of like what I was saying earlier, if you have the four pillars in life of love, family, friends, and money, I guess success could be more or less the money, because as long as, if you have the main three, which is love, family, and friends, the money can be kind of irrelevant, because as long as you're happy, like if you're genuinely happy with what you do, that's how I know you're successful.
I love that. Most impactful book you've ever read?
Oof. I don't really read books. I know that's that's not like a good thing to hear in the Bitcoin community because there's so many Bitcoin books, but like I haven't read the Bitcoin Standard or anything, even though I really should. Yeah, I know. I I just exposed myself, but I have a couple investing books. Like I have a book called like The Little Book of Investing.
Hmm.
I bought it from Amazon. Have never opened it. I don't know why.
So
I have a
you just use the internet and shit to like articles on to learn stuff.
Yeah, I have a bunch of like Rick Edelman of financial books and stuff like that. That I've just never touched. I really know I should be reading more, but sometimes it's just hard for me after school when especially like in English classes and stuff, when I have to read all these different textbooks and stuff. I just want to come home and be on Twitter and do anything but read.
For sure.
But yeah.
Well, how about this? What was the book? What was the piece of content? Let's say that like if you could identify it that made you click with Bitcoin for the first time, like heard about it, was interested. Was there any piece of content, article, YouTube video, anything where you read it or watched it and was like the light kind of went on?
Yeah, I got my mom to watch this too, and she really enjoyed it. It was the Bitcoin Beyond the Bubble YouTube video. It's like a 30-minute documentary. It has like Trace Mayer and stuff in it, and it's a really really well put together video. If you haven't watched it, I highly suggest you do. And it's one of the main things I like about it is it's really informative and stuff, but it's really entertaining. Like my mom, who knows like doesn't really know that much like financial stuff. Like she told me, she was like, yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was really entertaining.
That's cool, man. That's very cool. I try to get my mom to, or I used to try to get my mom to watch like documentaries on all sorts of different shit all the time, but very rarely did she do it, and very even more rarely did she respond like, "Oh yeah, thanks, that was cool." Um, what's a piece of advice that you would give anyone really, but I think in particular for you, I'd be curious, like for your peers, right? So people in like in your age group, uh, what's a piece of advice that you'd give them vis-a-vis Bitcoin, if anything?
Bitcoin, it's Bitcoin can seem really scary at first because it's such a complex new thing, but it's not. And it's sometimes some of the stuff in Bitcoin might sound too good to be true. Like let's say stacking sats, for example, like the idea of getting financial security through buying through an iPhone app called Cash App, and putting it in a hardware wallet that gives you financial security. Um, it's true. Like you don't have to like grind as hard as someone like me right now getting sats. Like you can just like put whatever spare money you have into Bitcoin, hold it, and then just chill back and enjoy life. You can still, go out to all your parties, and you can still go out and have fun and do whatever you want to do. Just buying Bitcoin just makes you feel so much more like secure in life. Like, I really recommend you guys try it. And you don't have to study it as much as people on Bitcoin Twitter, but definitely look out for it and research it when you can. But just overall enjoy life and stack sats.
Beautiful. Uh, what, if any, question would you like to see added to this list? Up to you.
Um, if in the future, when Bitcoin, let's say it hits like $1 million, what are you gonna spend your Satoshis on that's gonna either benefit you or society?
That's a great
Like,
question.
yeah, like, are you gonna waste it on stuff? Like, are you gonna buy a bunch of materialistic stuff, or are you gonna put it to good use? And I'm not necessarily saying like buying materialistic stuff is bad, because like, if you work super hard at something and you want to spend your hard-earned money on like a nice car or something, you should be able to do that. But you know what I mean?
Totally. And what's your answer to that question?
um like, if Bitcoin were to hit like $1 million, and like, I want like one of my dream cars is having like a nice BMW or a nice Porsche. Like, there's no reason for me to not get that. I've earned it, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to live my life and have fun, but also I don't want to spend all my sats. But I would definitely buy land, buy homes. Just the idea of having like a place that I can call my own, because obviously I don't have my own place that's fully mine. I'm only 20.
Yeah.
But just the idea of having like multiple homes and nice housing and stuff, and like a good secure place to live, that just gives me so much comfort, and like, it's something I really want, and it's something I'm working towards.
Yeah. And what about the society bit?
um oh yeah, so like, are you gonna like let's say like be an entrepreneur, like, are you gonna like either like put that money to good use and like make something that's gonna help other people? You can donate to good charities, good causes. You can, you if you have money.
Is there anything in your mind, like any sort of social contribution that you have in the back of your head, like once you're in the millionaire club, let's say?
Not really in particular. Yeah, I don't really have like a certain one in particular, but
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see people doing good shit with their money.
Totally.
You look around on Bitcoin Twitter, all the Bitcoiners seem to be like pretty similar. They're nice. They're for the most part, they're humble. They're family men. Like, they want the best for people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, when you have money, I just see that as like, I remember you've probably heard this quote before. It's like, money just brings out the real you. Like, if you're poor or middle class and you become rich, like, it's only going to enhance who you really are.
Yeah.
So it's like, I see all these great people with Bitcoin, and when they have money and power to do stuff that they want to do, the possibilities for them to do great things are endless.
Totally. All right, this is the last part. It's a word association. So I'll just say a word, and you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. All right?
Okay.
Satoshi Nakamoto.
God.
Government.
Fuck boys.
Hash rate.
Power.
The individual.
Power again.
Security.
Cold card.
Ego.
Craig Wright.
Greed.
Shitcoiners.
Stacking sats.
Matt Odell.
Fiat currency.
Garbage.
Guns.
Amazing.
Altcoins.
Garbage times 1,000.
Pizza.
Delicious. I actually had some last night.
So did I. Socialism.
I almost just said something I was gonna regret, but
Do it.
I was just gonna say retarded.
Yeah, that's fine. Family.
Everything.
Trump.
I don't even know what to say.
Future.
Bright.
Libra.
Garbage.
Gold.
It's all right.
And Bitcoin.
Fucking amazing. Like, I'm trying to think of something else other than amazing, but perfect.
That's awesome. Well, man, look, this has been super fun, and I really appreciate you taking the time on a Sunday morning just to have a chat with me. Is there anywhere you want to direct people other than like maybe your Twitter account or anything like that?
My Twitter account is at Nick Can't Mine. Nick being spelled Nik. I don't have a C in my name, so it's just NikCantMine. And then I also have a YouTube channel. I don't post too often on it, but I have done like 2 interviews and then like
Oh,
a
sick.
Bitcoin promo video that I edited. It was just like I took one of the Avengers movies themes and I like put the intro to that music, the intro music to that over like some Bitcoin stuff. And yeah, I just want to like get better at editing videos and like do more cool Bitcoin stuff. But
That's super cool. What's the name of the channel?
it's the same as my Twitter.
Okay, so just Nick Can't Mine. Search it on YouTube and you'll find it.
Yeah, my profile picture for that is the same as my Twitter as well. It's the Mr. Krabs laying on the money, just holding the Bitcoin.
I love that Twitter profile picture, by the way.
Thank you.
Where'd that come from?
Um, I made that on Photoshop actually. I really wanted like something cool and unique because everyone on Twitter, has their own cool unique thing. And I was like, well, I grew up watching SpongeBob, and I know Mr. Krabs loves money, so I looked up Mr. Krabs, and I saw him laying on a pile of money, and I was like, that's perfect. So I just like
Put the Bitcoin
I
in there.
I put the Bitcoin in there. I colored out the background and put it blue, and yeah, I've kept that for a long time now.
Awesome, man. Well, look, dude, it's been super fun to chat. I have a feeling we'll probably speak again in the future, but until that time, keep up the great work and all the best.
Thank you, sir. I'm always down to have a chat. Just hit me up whenever.
Absolutely, will do, man. Take care.
Thank you, you too.
Bye bye.